Welcome to the Socks and Soul podcast. Great to have you with me today. So a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he owns a hardware store. And I was telling him about the podcast, and he says, "Hey, I know somebody that there's somebody in the area that you should interview." And I said, "Oh yeah, tell me about it." He goes, "So she comes in to," he said, "buy a chainsaw." And I was telling her about chainsaws, and she looks at me and she says, "I know everything there is to know about chainsaws. This is what I need." And it turns out that she is a Lumbersports world champion who lives here in Spokane, where I am. and I was like, what is a Lumbersports champion? I mean, I've seen these on TV, like or internet videos. Like I can't even remember where I saw them, but where you got the guys with the chainsaws and they're cutting logs, right? And they've got to cut like six little log spots, or they got to chop wood, or they're climbing a pole or something like that. Anyway, there's a big following for this Lumbersport stuff, and they compete professionally. And they have these tournaments and these competitions all over the country and all over the world, and here in Spokane, not far from me, there's a gal who competes. And then I find out that she owns a CrossFit gym, Predation CrossFit here in Spokane, which is really close to me, like maybe a mile and a half or 2 miles away from where I live. And anyway, so he's telling me about this gal, and I'm like, man, that would be really interesting. And then I find out, so I look her up. I watch, I do a little internet stalking on her to kind of figure out who she is, and she is she has won she's a world champion lumberjack. Lumbersports. Man, I can't even get the thing right. But she's won these Lumbersports competitions, and so I reach out to her on Facebook. And I'm like, her name is Erin Lavoie. I say, "Hey, Erin, I run this show called the Socks and Soul podcast where we talk about people who do great things, and I'd love to have you on the show." And she hits me right back and says, "Yeah, that'd be great. Sounds good." And so we coordinated time, and so then I wanted to dig a little deeper, and I found out she's been competing in this stuff for years. For almost 20 years, she's been a Lumbersports competitor. I didn't even know this thing had been around for 20 years. And anyway, it's amazing. She just, she started doing this thing. And anyway, so I did this interview with her, which will air in a second. And she's just amazing. It's amazing to meet people like this who when she goes to do something, if she likes it, she just goes 100% all the way in. She just loves it. Anyway, I was just thinking about this morning, and it's just kind of hilarious that last week I was talking about, we had gone to one of those axe throwing things over the holiday with some of my family. And I did not bring that up in the interview because I was going to be embarrassed about it. But anyway, it's just funny how this all kind of comes together. So anyway, she's really fun to talk to. She's really open and kind of hysterical, and she has some great messages about what you should be doing with your life and what you should be doing with your time. And we have a great conversation about what that looks like and how you can do it. And you can meet your goals, and you can do things that are important to you, and you can have fun all at the same time. And I guess it's all about prioritizing what you want to do. Anyway, when you're not driving, or when you get a chance, look her up, Erin Lavoie, Lumbersports, and just watch some YouTube videos of her, because it's amazing. These Lumbersports, competitors are it's an amazing sport. They use axes, and they use saws, and they use chainsaws, and they're climbing these telephone poles or trees, and she just competes. She competes 30 weeks a year. So anyway, great interview. I won't hold it up any longer. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the Socks and Soul podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Ditto. Let's go. I'd like to welcome in the studio Erin Lavoie.
Hi.
Thanks for coming down. I really appreciate it.
How come I have a mic and you don't?
because your voice, I have a mic, it's just under my shirt.
Okay, got it.
I have a wireless mic. So we had some technical difficulties this morning. So I'm grateful for Erin and her, her patience with my makeshift studio in here. Usually I'm all ready to go.
I learned this patience through the COVID breakout. Working on it for the last year.
Oh man, what a mess that has been, huh?
Such a mess.
So you might be the first Lumbersports athlete I have ever talked to.
There's not many of us.
I imagine it's a fairly small community.
I think there's only like myself and one other in this area, so not many.
Now, when I first started looking your story up, I saw that you had, won these lumberjack games, which I know I'm butchering the name of it. And then I started looking more into it, and I realized this isn't a thing that you just started in the last couple of years. You've been doing this for a long time.
For a long, long time. I'm not going to give away my age here, but I think it was the first year out of college, in college, my first year out of high school. When I went to college, I jumped onto a team. I went to school for forestry, and they were just practicing right down the hall from my classes. And cute boy said, "Hey, what are you doing? Come saw with me." I said, "Sounds good. Let's give this a try." I think 2 weeks later he quit, but I kept going. And
is that really why you went down there? It's just because he was cute? Or did lumberjacking sound interesting to you?
I am so competitive, and I'm so down to do everything that I can in this lifetime. So when I saw what they were doing, and I didn't have anything else going on. There was no other sports in my world at that time. So it was just a new experience, and it fell into my lap, and it was fun.
So were you a competitive athlete growing up? Like in high school, were you a competitive athlete?
Everything. I mean, amongst my brothers, I finished my cereal first. It was.
You have two brothers,
I have two brothers. I'm in the middle, so
okay.
It was
Sandwiched.
it was a fight between boys. And my whole growing up, and it was soccer, baseball, gymnastics, football. Football lasted a week until my mom found out and said I can't do that anymore.
Your mom nixed football.
Yeah, she nixed the football. A little too aggressive, but. Every sport I can do. I've always wanted to just see what, put my body through that test and see if I can do it. And competition is just fun.
Yeah, I love competition. That is awesome. Okay, so you're going to school for forestry. You go and you just start. You just like walk in. You're like, "Hey, I'm Erin. Can I grab a chainsaw?
Can I swing that axe in between my feet? That sounds like fun." No, it's in college at that time. I'm not sure what it is now, but the team is 8 people, and 2 have to be of the opposite sex.
Okay.
So there wasn't many women at all in the sport back then.
Yeah.
There you get to do 5 events when you go to a competition. So one guy there, the manager, said, "This is one of the events. You stand on this block of wood and you chop it in half."
Okay. So I watched some videos of this, and it's terrifying. So
in the beginning, yes.
You stand on a log with your feet, like, I don't know, athletic stance.
Yep.
Maybe 24 inches apart, something like that.
Yeah.
And you are swinging a full-size man axe
as hard as you can.
I mean, from the top, right between your legs as hard as you can.
Yep.
And you're cutting a V right in the middle between your feet. And the
which means you're not in between your feet. You're like close to one foot and then close to the other foot because you're making that notch.
Yeah.
When you get halfway, you spin around and you finish. So it's quite close to your feet. We put these guards on. So we had these massive, like, Tin Man looking guards.
Okay.
I make them now, they've come a long way. They're made out of chainmail. They're a little sock and they fit just under your shoes.
Okay.
Kind of comfortable, actually. But
yeah.
I had a Doler axe and I had these giant tin boots on, so I wasn't too terrified. It wasn't gonna. It would hit me and it would hurt, but it wouldn't cut me.
Sure.
So once you learn that, and once
the
worst part was the bloody hands. I did hit myself, but not.
But you never cut your leg or
no, they didn't.
Dislocated your ankle.
I didn't get a good axe to begin with. So,
like here, you can use a mallet.
Yeah, it was just like, all right, don't do that again, and just keep going. But my hands were bloody. I must have put 5 hours a day, every day, and I competed 2 weeks later and placed in every event. So.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So right at the get-go, you were in there 5 hours. You just loved it.
I don't really half-ass things. I mean, if there's something I want to do, it's full in.
Yeah.
And I just allow myself to do that.
Yeah.
That's the lifestyle that I've set up for myself, and game on. I want to win.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All-in mentality. Yeah. No doubt about it. So you start competing. You said how many days later, and you were in your first competition?
It was 2 weeks, like about a week and a
weeks.
half later.
Okay.
That was my first competition.
Tell us about what that was like, your first competition.
It was fun. I mean, I did 5 events that I just learned. One was climbing a pole 30 feet in the air, which was super scary.
Is that like where you put the spikes on
Yeah,
the inside
you
of
have
your
these
feet?
little tiny, this little tiny thing is holding you up in the wood above the ground 30 feet.
Holy cow.
But it's not that far. And the coach, I've always had good coaches, and the one thing that I've learned the best from them was how to fail first. So I learned how to fall first and how to catch myself. So once I knew how to do that and I practiced that, I was fine with it. So I just go up a couple feet and then fall.
Yeah.
And go up and fall. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be fine now. Let's just go fast. And if I fall, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit scary, but super fun.
Yeah.
And I placed top 3 in that one. I forget what I was. It was a long time ago. And then the chopping and the sawing with the long crosscut saws.
Yeah.
You saw back and forth. I think I did one by myself. That was like a marathon. It was so hard. And then one with a Jack and Jill. So I had another guy partner.
So you guys are on each end of the saw. What do they call those?
Working like a team.
Yeah.
They call it back then like a misery whip or a crosscut
Okay. Yeah.
saw. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And you've basically been competing in lumber sports ever since.
Yeah, ever since.
And
I fell into it at a good time. I mean, success is fun.
Sure.
When you win, you want more of that.
Right.
If you lose, you're like, oh, maybe
I'll go do.
Maybe I'll try something else, right? But I was one of the only girls, so I just kept winning. It was, I think, the perfect timing for me.
Yeah.
Perfect thing and the perfect timing. So after that year of college, after like 2 competitions, we went to a professional competition. And some guy needed a partner, Mike Forrester, and he asked me, and just because I was a girl that didn't have a partner, and I was like, okay. We made it on TV. Mom saw me. Like,
so you're like this 20-year-old
what the
college
heck is
student
this?
competing in this professional
yeah.
event?
So
Dang.
like I mean it all fell into play.
Yeah.
Like the right guy asked me to saw with him at the right competition. I was on TV, and then somebody else saw me, and I was invited to a championship, and
Cool.
it just kept going, and I hung on.
Have you ever checked, like done one of those ancestry things to see if you're related to Paul Bunyan?
No, because
or
then you
something
get
like
put in the system and they stalk you. I don't want them to know about me.
Do you have a blue ox by chance?
I would if I could.
So did you take that? I mean, what was that like? You had all this success and all this exposure right out of the gate. I mean, how did you handle that? What kind of a person did you become as a result of it?
It was so fun.
What did that look like?
It was so fun because you start meeting people. I started meeting so many people just from going to competitions, and I saw with a new person, then I get to talk to his people and so on, and then they saw how, I guess, driven I was and how much I loved it, and they started helping me improve and helping me buy gear. So I just kept going, and it wasn't, I don't know what you mean by how did I handle it, but I just enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.
Took it for what it was.
So what were the next steps in the progression that happened? Because you continue to rise to basically world champion, right?
Shortly after, I was invited to, I forget what it's called, the Iron Jack Championships in Alaska. And that was a series of 5 events for the women, 10 for the men, but all of your points, you get up to 100 points per event. So if you won, you got 100 points. Second place, I think, was 90, then 80, and so on. I can't remember quite. But all 5 events add up for 1 score.
Okay.
So if you mess one up,
you're basically
you're in trouble. You got to fight a little bit harder. But that one was in Texas, and I think I got second place there. So I was hungry.
Yeah.
Like, second isn't...
That's not good enough for you.
It's not going to do it. So...
Yeah.
I dug in real hard after that and got invited to another one. And then I was invited to the United States women's team to compete in Australia. So now I'm like, jumping countries here. I mean, I was already in Canada, but
Canada's close.
This is the U.S. team, you know.
Right.
I'm going to Australia, like, what? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
It was exciting, but I was like, it's another competition, let's go.
Was this something that you were aspiring to be on this national team, or?
I had no idea. I didn't even know what it was. So in the beginning, everybody just kind of kept approaching me. And then after I was in it, I started hearing about competitions.
Okay.
So then it was like, I want to be a world champion. I want a world record.
That's
when I started setting goals.
When did that happen? How many years or months or how long into your
I think
journey?
my second year.
So your second year, you started to realize, I really have a knack for this. I really like it.
I really like it.
Now I wanna set the bar.
I started hearing about names, and so I went to Rochester, Minnesota. It was a competition, and there was like 4 big names there. Back then, it was Penny Halverson was like the woman of timber sports, and Carmen Wynyard, Nancy Zalewski was there, Cherie Taylor. There was probably 5 big names, and I was like starstruck when I got there and I actually saw them. Like, can I ask for your autograph? Like, what do I do with my hands? I never felt that feeling. That was like, I'm amongst these stars, and this was like my second year.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of the girl that sits in the truck with my gear, and I put myself so far into the zone and just, I learned that in gymnastics. The bus ride to the meets, we'd have to do our routines in our head.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in my truck with my gear, just being in the zone. People bug me. Erin, are you in your zone? I'm like, yeah, leave me alone.
Like, back off.
But I'm going through my hits in my head of how I'm going to chop and what happens if this side's hard, how many more hits is it going to take? There's patterns. So I'm going through like 4 different patterns in my head that you have to, when you get into it, you grab that pattern and you run with it.
Right.
So there's scenarios that you have to be ready for really fast. So anyways, I went out and I won. I'm like, holy crap, I just beat these girls.
You beat these 4?
Beat these names that I wanted autographs of.
Right. You're like, can I get a picture? Can I do an autograph?
Oh my
God. And you took them down.
Yeah. See, this was on the east side. I've been on the west side.
Wow.
This was my first flight to a competition.
Okay.
I've never seen these girls. I've just heard of them.
Right.
So I've just been doing my own thing on the west side, and then you don't know where you're at. You don't know where you stand. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I won, and I'm like, shit, what's next? I want to go to the championships. So World Championships in Hayward, Wisconsin was on my list.
So, I mean, that moment when you beat them and you realized, was that the first time you really realized how good you actually were?
I think so.
I mean, I imagine you had this moment like, oh, no, this is why people keep approaching me. This is why I keep getting invited to things. And now these 4 are kind of the face of timber sports in my era.
It was an amazing moment. It was cool.
I just beat them.
It was cool. That is like the only trophy I still have.
What do you mean that's the only trophy you still have?
You
get
like
so
a
many,
lot of trophies, and what do you do with them? But that is the one that I'm like, I hang on to that guy.
Yeah.
So it was super cool, and I still, like, every time I finish, I'm like, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? But that was that one moment where I'm like, crap, I'm in there.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
It was pretty neat.
Okay, so I cut you off. So then after that,
it was just championship after championship.
Yeah.
And then the Steel Timber Sports series came out. And this was when my second year of college, they have a collegiate portion of it. So it's all men's, but they have a collegiate competition, and the best collegiate guy goes to the men's. They get a men's spot.
On the men's U.S. team?
Series.
Oh, in the Steel team. Okay, gotcha.
But I'm like, I want to play.
Yeah.
Why aren't the women in there?
Yeah.
So it had to be, 16 years since I've been like, when do we get a chance? My team actually let me compete. They gave me the men's spot on that team to compete. Of course, I got my ass kicked because I'm against guys.
All guys, right.
But I was so nice of them to give me that spot to actually try.
You were the only woman competing in the whole competition.
Yeah.
I love it. That is awesome.
So I was like, from then I'm like, well, I want to go there. And it was never offered until it would have been the 3rd year last year. So we've had 3 of them. 2 of them have been on the big stage since the women were invited to this competition.
Uh-huh.
And I just send in my entry for this year. Hopefully it happens.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the big dog. That's where I won my Harley Davidson.
You won a Harley Davidson?
Harley Davidson.
Tell me about that.
Pretty rad. Well, I sold it as quick as I could. I didn't have a sidecar for my dog, so.
So it's all right. There's nowhere to put him.
Go.
It doesn't work for the family.
It doesn't work for the family.
It's not a family rig.
Yeah. And summers I'm always training or I'm out of town. So
Sure.
it didn't suit my lifestyle.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, I was like, I should have kept that thing. Then I actually went out and bought a different bike. So now I do have a bike.
Did you regret selling it when COVID hit and you realized you could have spent all summer riding it?
I kind of did. Yeah, I was super bummed, but it didn't fit the family. So.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So you're still competing today, 20 years later?
Yeah. So everything was shut down last year.
Right.
There was one competition I got to go to in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And even when I bought that ticket, I bought it to a friend's house, which was a 6-hour drive.
Right.
I was like, if this cancels like everything else, at least I have a vacation with my friend.
Sure.
So that when it actually happened, it was amazing. I got to see everybody, and it was just, I'm like, oh my God, I'm home. I can breathe. This is normal. This is my happy place. It was fantastic. And now this season, it usually kicks off with Sydney, Australia over spring break, Easter weekend. Mm-hmm. And that one is happening this year, but you have to quarantine.
So like 14 days?
So it's not.
Like you got to hang out in a hotel for 14 days type of deal?
And the government chooses it.
Yeah.
So if I could go to I have a family down there that welcomes me in every time I come down. And if I could go there in quarantine, that'd be some sick training.
Right.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Please, let's go.
Yeah.
But they picked the hotel, and I can't even imagine staying in a hotel, not working out.
That seems like a ridiculous request to ask the athletes to come 14 days, not do anything, and then compete. Seems kind of dangerous, actually.
It's pretty silly.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's people that I know, this is in New South Wales, Sydney. Mm-hmm. People from Queensland have to quarantine as well.
Wow.
So I don't even think that they're going to make it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see it on the books.
Yeah.
And then we'll hopefully go into our season.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So in like 2019, 2018 normal years, how many competitions are you doing per year?
I could go to 30 if
Holy
I wanted
cow.
to. Mm-hmm.
That's, almost every week, every
There's
other
a lot.
week.
Yep, I'm gone a lot. So, when a door shuts, a window opens.
Sure.
I got a lot of family time this year, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, I have friends, really good friends now, because I got to put some time into that.
You're like, I like this.
Usually it's that I've seen these written out on, those wood burn placards that people have in their home, and it's like, we interrupt this marriage to bring you hunting season. My friends and family know that we'll touch base again in October.
Right.
I'll catch you up on my life.
So the season runs from like Easter, April through October.
Yeah.
That's the competitive. So basically it's every weekend.
Yeah.
For that entire.
And I'm not doing that. I'm training. So I'm kind of out.
Yeah, for sure.
But.
So are these competitions lucrative? Is there prize money? Do you make a living doing this?
It's better when you're sponsored.
Yeah.
Much better. It's also really good when you win. If you don't win, it can be quite costly.
Yeah.
So to start now, I think it's super hard for a lady or anybody really.
Sure.
Because there's so many competitors now.
Yeah.
If you're not winning, you're paying a lot of money to do this sport, which is still fun.
Everything's out of pocket.
Yep.
Travel,
unless
entry
you
into
get
the
the
competitions.
sponsorships.
Right.
But it's not cheap.
Yeah.
You don't run to Miller's on top of the hill and buy a splitting axe. It's an $700-800 axe from New Zealand that you waited a couple months for.
Wow.
And then you found somebody to grind it up just to how you swing your axe, how strong you are.
Right.
Saws take, I think the wait list is like 2 years now for a crosscut saw.
No kidding.
And last I checked, they're like probably about $1,800 a piece. You don't have just one of those.
Yeah, right.
And then you travel, flights, hotels, gas, entry fees, everything. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
So winning is good. Sponsorships are better.
And one leads to the other.
Yep.
So you're sponsored, I'm guessing?
I am not. I lost my sponsorship during COVID.
Okay.
So if anybody's out there, knock, knock.
Is the assumption that once the season starts, somebody will jump on board, or how does that usually work?
I need to contact a couple of companies and see if they want to be part of me.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are typically companies that are in the Lumbersports arena.
Don't have to be.
Okay.
Kill Cliff was a huge sponsor of mine for many years. They're an awesome company.
What do they do?
They make a recovery drink.
Okay, sure.
So I sell it in my gym.
Yeah.
I promote it. I love it. I drink it probably twice a day. They've been awesome for me. They were on my team for, I believe, 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So love them.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, and in this process of these last 20 years of competing, you opened a gym. You started your own business, basically.
It'll be 10 years in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So here's a cool stat for you. Half of 1% of businesses make it 10 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you're in pretty elite company.
To survive through COVID too.
Yeah, especially your industry.
It's been scary. It's been, who knows what's going to happen, but
yeah.
I've got one hell of a community there, and they all continue to stay with me during the shutdown. I put up at-home workouts and kind of touch base with everybody. They've been awesome. They've been so good. And they said, Erin, I want a home to come back to when this is done. So please keep charging me. It's just been, it's my family.
That is awesome.
They really are
How do you
family.
How do you do that? How do you run a business and travel 30 weeks a year?
The first 2 years that I opened that gym, I was grounded. I didn't do any competitions for 2 years. And then when I started, rolling with it and finding coaches and help, then I could sneak off to competitions and do the training and everything. But it's, I coach and then I work out and then I coach and then I train and then I coach and then I train some more. So my day is set up for success. I'm not pushing a pencil at a desk or 9-hour days and then coming home tired and not wanting to train. I've kind of built a pretty good platform for me to do well. Yeah. And then my people just support me. My coaches are, Erin, what weekends do you have off? Tell me now and I'll ink it in so you can go win. Yeah. They've been it's support. Yeah. So supportive.
Yeah. So what were you doing prior to opening the gym as far as, bringing home the bacon? Was it just the competition was enough?
Competitions, I worked with steel chainsaws. So I was their spokesmodel for a little while, and that was fun. It was a lot of fun.
You said spokesmodel.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Don't you see it?
Yes. You're beautiful. Absolutely. I see it.
So they had a custom motorcycle built. It's funny because then we went back, then I won the Harley. So it was like, it's funny how that went down.
When I was internet stalking you, I saw some pictures of you, in front of a custom steel Harley.
That's not like me, did it?
That's not the one that you won, right?
Right.
Okay.
No, that's one that was custom built, and they gave that away.
Gotcha.
So I was helping promote the new chainsaw that came out, 441, and the chainsaw was a chopper, and I was a chopper. Okay. So it was like these three badass machines that kind of toured together. Yeah. So I promoted that for a year. And then just competing. I was going to school, trying to figure out what the heck I wanted to do with my life.
Did you finish your forestry degree?
No, I didn't, because I moved to Virginia. Nothing transferred, so then I went to school for biology or something, radiology. And then was fed up with that, moved back. Nothing transferred.
Oh, my God.
Went back to school.
Wait, why did you go to Virginia?
Because steel was based out of there.
Oh, okay. So while you were competing collegiately or, during college.
This was pro now.
I mean, you were pro and then you got picked up by steel. And so then you moved there for steel.
There, yep.
Ah, okay.
Stayed for a little bit because I made friends and was going to school, and then you can't hunt on Sundays, and I missed my family, and it was hard to train and compete. A couple of reasons. So I moved back home. Nothing transferred. Went to school, got my AA. Okay. About 6 years into my AA now. Got that, and then I started going to school for physical therapy. Okay. They told me I probably couldn't get into Eastern, so I would probably have to transfer to Boise. I'm like, I'm done with the out-of-state stuff.
You're like, nothing transfers.
This isn't happening. I've learned this game.
It's extortion.
So, I've got a doctorate in an AA. But then we started working out of the garage gym, my former husband and I, Chance. And people started coming over and, using our toilet and our blender, and we're like, okay, this is enough. I'm trying to think about what I want to do for a career, for a job. I've always wanted to kind of I don't know how to work for somebody. So I've always wanted to do my own thing, build my own thing. He looked at me one day, he's like, open a CrossFit gym. Let's do this.
How are you making ends meet at this point?
I just had money saved up.
Okay.
I saved up money, and
from winning competitions, or from working on jobs, or from what?
Jobs, I waitressed for a while.
Okay.
In the steel gig.
So you were just working.
I am like I'm like a squirrel with my money.
I love it.
I'm terrified to spend it, and I live small.
I love it.
I live so small. So, and Chance helped. He supported me too. We got married, and we opened the gym together. And he's like, "This is yours. Run with it." I'm like, okay.
We opened it, but he said, "This is yours." Mm-hmm. Okay.
A couple years later,
because
we opened it together.
This wasn't something he wanted to do necessarily, but he wanted to support you.
We wanted to do it together.
Oh, okay.
So we did it together, and then he had his own gigs, and I was kind of just took the lead on it.
Yeah.
I was like, go.
Now CrossFit has is kind of like this cult movement inside of the workout universe, and like I have found that people either love them to a fault, or you got this whole other community that's like, these guys are nut jobs. They run until they barf.
If you have a friend that does CrossFit, you will either join or you will defriend them, because they don't stop talking about it, because it's so much fun.
This is so amazing.
I believe if you have any athletic background, you will love it, because there's a competitive nature to it, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
If you're not scared to meet new people, you will love it, because we all have such similar interests of just going out into the world and doing things and seeing if we can do it, capable of it. If you think that there's a magic pill that's going to make you fit, you're not going to like it.
Good luck. Yeah.
That doesn't really, it's not healthy. If it exists, it's not healthy for you.
Yeah.
And you probably will not like CrossFit. But if, it's fun. Something different every day.
Yeah.
Slightly competitive.
Yeah.
I've never once said I have to go to the gym today. It's just like...
You feel excited. You kind of get butterflies to go do it.
Yeah, you get angry when you can't make it in.
Yeah.
That's why I was late today. I'm like, hey, I'm not done working out yet.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was thinking about this the other day. So I play basketball, and I love it. I play 3 mornings a week. I got this group I play with, and COVID just threw a monkey wrench in that whole thing, and it was summertime, and so I was doing some running, which I hate running. I have a lot of friends and family who love running, and I try and like it, and I don't. I even had Mike Bresson on here once. He founded Active for Youth, the cross-country program for elementary kids, and all my kids run in it, and
You hate it.
And I want to like it because it's so easy, right? You just put on your shoes and go running, and I just don't. But I'm one of the things that I worry about all the time is what happens if the day comes when I just can't play basketball anymore.
Sucks.
What am I going to do physically to stay, because being active and staying in good shape is really an important part of my life.
Life is better when you're fit.
Oh man.
This is one of my things.
I had an injury years ago, and I couldn't play. I couldn't do much for 6-7 months, and I was miserable.
So are you coming into the gym now?
I don't know. Maybe I got to do CrossFit.
Do you need a card?
I might. Yeah. Seriously, I better discover the next source of exercising fun before my basketball career (quote) ends. Not that I'm very good, but I enjoy it.
You need something.
So I can appreciate,
something.
looking forward to it. Because if you don't look forward to it, you'll stop doing it.
You will.
You just stop doing it.
It's not convenient. You don't like it. What's the point?
Yeah. So what has been the key for you in finding things that you enjoy?
You just do it. What do you mean?
I don't know. You seem to just find things quickly that you enjoy, and you just go make them happen. It's pretty impressive.
I don't know if I look for it or I just walk into it. I'm social. I like talking to people. Hey, I'm such a self-inviter too.
I love that. That's a great characteristic.
Such a self-inviter.
Can I come?
So I mean, can I come play basketball with you? It's been a while, but I'll lace up.
Yeah.
Shoot hoops and yeah. No, I don't. I just like doing everything. I want to do everything in this lifetime, and that's just me.
Yeah.
I will invite myself over.
I love it. That's great. Okay, so you opened the gym up, and was it successful from the get-go, or were you nervous? How did that go?
We were so lucky. Chance is awesome. He's a retired Navy SEAL.
Oh wow.
So he's in with a lot of stuff, which is pretty cool. And he was working on ships, protecting them from pirates at the time, the anti-piracy.
Oh my gosh.
So he was overseas doing that, kind of making the money, and we got a loan, and
This is after he retired from being a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
He was going back and working.
Then he was doing anti-piracy.
Like literal pirates.
Yeah. Yeah, like real, they exist.
Oh yeah, I know they exist.
They will steal the boat and he
I've
protects
seen Captain
it.
Phillips, I know.
Yeah. But he told me one day, he's like, we don't need their money. And he's just kind of, he doesn't stress out. He just makes it happen.
Yeah.
So I learned from that. And I'm holding that nut. Like, I don't want to
You're
spend
a
money.
saver. Mm-hmm.
I am such a saver. I made paint because I didn't want to go, a color and a texture. I put them together because I didn't want to go buy new stuff because I just did not want to spend any more money. I'm like, we need to start making money. But he taught me a couple of things, and there was no stress. We just had fun.
Yeah.
So we opened the gym, him and I, and two of our friends that weren't paying. We own a gym, and he even laughed. He's like, well, if nobody comes, at least I have somewhere to park my truck.
And we got a place to work out.
We got a place to work out.
Nobody's using a blender in our kitchen now.
We ran around, and we had fun with it. We had so much fun. Put a little sandwich, one of those folding sandwich billboard things on the side of the road.
Yep.
One person came in. That person brought two friends the next day, and it was just word of mouth. People just kept coming in, and one at a time. There was no, that was our advertising. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. We sat down there for 13 hours.
I was going to say, you
hung out with each other.
You forestry and biology and physical therapy and then started a business.
Then we started a business. That was it. And people came in one by one. If it rolled. It was really, really crazy.
They could feel your energy, and they wanted to be a part of it.
We cared, and
yeah.
I guess they just liked us, and I think that's why a lot of people are still there. We just think we're that kind of people.
Yeah.
It wasn't a business that we opened. It was our gym, and we wanted friends.
Yeah.
So.
And you're immersed in that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It was fun. You keep using that. It was fun.
It's just fun.
Why did I do it? Because it was fun.
I know. I laugh. I'm like this. I need to treat this more like a business. I'm like, I just can't. It's weird. I'll go get a coffee, and they're like, what are you up to today? I'm like, I'm going to work. Because it's easier to say.
And
they're like, oh, I'm sorry, that sucks. I'm like,
nope.
It doesn't. I fucking love it. Love it. So that's that.
That is, and I mean, one of the reasons, I was telling you before we started recording, one of the reasons that I started the show was because I think there's a lot of people out there doing things they hate.
I'm sure they are.
Like, I had this experience, and I told this story, a bunch of podcasts ago, but I was at dinner, my wife and I were at dinner with some friends of ours, and he is a professional, went to school for a long time. I mean, he's a professional, right? Makes really good money. And I was talking to him, and we're kind of sharing, some of the things about our jobs that we liked and we didn't like, and come to find out, he didn't really love his job,
It's not fun.
And I was so taken aback by that, because he spent so many years to get there, and he's making a really high income, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of worked himself into this lifestyle of, I've got to make this much money to support this lifestyle. Yet he doesn't really enjoy what he's doing that much. He doesn't hate it.
You got to decide what I think important.
And I just thought, man, I'd never stepped back to think, man, even guys that spend a lot of years going to school, with their eye on something for a long time, it even happens to them, where they just don't like what they're doing.
It's awful. I think the more money you make, the more crap you buy, and the less time you have for it.
Yep.
And what's the point?
And you box yourself into having to make a certain amount of money to continue to have all of these things,
I live small, I live easy, and I want to enjoy the ride.
Has your philosophy on money and finances changed at all over the last 20 years?
Back and forth. I mean, I don't want to stress on money, but I also don't want to stress on money. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a family. And I think one of the reasons, I'm selfish. I'm very selfish with my time, my money, my body. So when you have a kid, those three things are gone. And I looked at it like, I would love to see what that little critter would look like.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be a badass. It'd be fun. But it might not be. And like, it might hate me. And then what? I gave up those three things for that, and that terrifies me. But I don't know. I want to go play, and I want to enjoy things and not be tied down to, I have to do this because of this.
Sure.
I don't want that feeling.
Yeah.
So I want to do this because of this. Like, this is awesome.
Well, I would love to be your kid. I think it would be wicked fun.
It'd be fun.
It'd
be a lot of fun.
When you say, I don't know, what if he doesn't like me? Like, there's no chance of that happening. Like, I'm a half okay dad, and my kids think I'm hilarious, and I'm not even that funny. And so I don't know what they'll think when they actually become adults, but we have a great time together. So
I have nieces and nephews now, so
you know what it's like.
those are the best.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hang out with them, show them cool stuff, send them back.
Yeah.
When they start hating their parents, they'll come hang out with me even more.
And you can spoil them even more.
Exactly.
No, but I love, I'm a real natural saver, by nature. And, I decided years ago that I just didn't like debt. I just didn't want to have debt because debt felt like an obligation.
Yeah.
It felt like a liability that I didn't need in my life. And so I only financed one car ever, and that was the very first minivan that we bought out of college because we had two kids. And after that, I was like, I'm never doing that again. I don't want that. I don't need that in my life.
I save and spend.
Yeah. If I want
Save and
something,
spend.
it's old school. My dad was in Montana. He grew up in Montana. And it was the lesson of, if you want something, you can have anything you want. What do you want? Go get it. But I'm gonna save up, and then I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, I can't even pay that paycheck to paycheck thing. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
It
It doesn't seem very fun.
You get these things like how to pay off your credit cards. I'm like, don't you do that monthly? Like,
Yeah. You don't just do it for the points?
just do it. I'm the points girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't stand that responsibility. I don't want it.
Yeah. So what does the next 5-10 years look like for you as a competitive athlete?
I have no idea. I don't know. I want some new stuff. There's not really any new competitions. I think I've done them all. So now it's just kind of the same thing over and over. Hopefully there's new competitions that come up, new championships. If they want to put it in the Olympics, that'd be badass.
I was thinking that
all
earlier.
about that.
They just added a bunch of cool things to the Olympics.
Did they?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the break dance. They added break dancing.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. They added man, I wish I could remember them all. Annie was telling me about them. There's 3 or 4 new really cool deals.
What?
I was like, break dancing? That's brilliant.
Why am I not in there?
And they want to attract a new, different demographic in the younger generation.
Maybe soon then.
So come on, Lumbersports.
Yeah.
Let's get our crap together.
See, I'd be sad though if they'd put it in and then it was like guys first.
Right.
I'm like, let's be over here. No. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Something new. That'd be awesome.
Well, I'm excited to follow your story and see what you conquer next.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Who knows? Day by day.
I am particularly stoked about your socks, though. I mean, I asked.
They have chainsaws.
These are, man. If you're only listening to this, you should just hop over to YouTube and just skip to the end because you've already listened to this and just look at her socks. They are full on chainsaw socks.
Oh, there's a shout out. There you go.
Yes. There's a steel promo for you.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you brought me this sweet hat. A Steel Timber Sports Kiss My Axe hat.
Kiss my axe.
This is awesome. And little known fact, the Richardson 112 is my favorite trucker hat.
Oh, good.
That's what this is.
I knew that.
This is a sweet hat. I love this. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You are
You're welcome.
You're my second guest to bring me, something. So I really appreciate that.
Sad.
So I have something for you.
New socks.
I don't know if you have a favorite brand of socks, but mine are Stance socks. I don't know if you ever wear Stance socks before. If you've heard of them. This little kind of cross-cut, logo here.
Okay.
They're kind of girly. And,
That's okay.
And you could probably easily beat me in like an arm wrestling match, or like if we like wrestled, you could probably pin me in like 4 seconds. And so I thought, I'm gonna bring out the softer side of Erin Lavoie and bring her some cool. Their stance socks are wicked comfortable. They got some flowers on them and stuff. However, the reason that I chose them is because on it says the uncommon thread.
Okay, I like that.
And that's what I thought about you. I was like, Erin.
Thank you.
Erin she's cut from a different cloth.
I like that.
So
that is true.
I feel
like
you're just a little different, and I love that.
Something happened along the way.
Yeah.
I like it though. I'm not the white picket fence girl.
That's all right. Sure. We need them all.
That's not my American dream.
We need them all, and and I feel inspired and uplifted talking to you, and
Good.
It makes me want to go and
shake it up. Well,
and be a better person, and look for the fun, and realize that that there's a lot out there to enjoy. So don't get caught in some weird grind year over year over year.
You need a comfortable bed, and you smile every day because it's over before you know it, and you spend a lot of time in that bed and working.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Make it worth it.
Well, I really appreciate you joining me, Erin.
Yeah.
You're a unique cat, and you're sure fun to talk to.
I like my socks.
And maybe I need to invite myself to hang out with you more. I don't know. Invite myself to your gym,
CrossFit.
maybe.
Come on.
There you go.
We can trade these.
Yeah, sounds
Basketball
good.
for CrossFit.
That's right. You can smoke me on a crossover jump shot, and then teach me how to do one of those CrossFit competitions.
Fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us this week on the Socks and Soul podcast. I hope you found this content useful. Look up Erin. She's easy to find. She's all over the internet. She's a Lumbersports world champion and just all around, awesome person. So thanks, Erin.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the Socks and Soul podcast.
The Socks and Soul podcast is a production of Ditto Film Media. If you enjoy this content, be sure to give it a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Join the conversation on Facebook at Socks and Soul Podcast.